Well, residents of Linmeyer, south of Johannesburg, have been protesting over service delivery issues. Last week it was electricity, and this week they've been without water for over 5 days. Community leaders have been in contact with Rand Water, but they don't seem to have an answer to the crisis. Our reporter Zola Sholwana is there. Zola, as I mentioned last week, it was the issue of power outages in the area. Now they're saying they don't have any water.
Yes, you're right, Ndogozo. If you would remember, last week we were here reporting, a crisis of not having electricity, and we got to speak to some of the residents who were immensely affected by the power outages. And this week, it's been more than 5 days without water, and residents are basically saying that we've had enough, and they've also tried to, speak to Joburg Water and Rand Water rather about the issue. I'm standing with the councillors who will be telling us about the steps that they've taken just to make sure that they have water again. When we walked in, we saw, the flow of water, and one of the residents was saying, here is water, but why can't we access water in our taps at home? So thank you very much for your time. 5 days without water, and we can imagine how that is for all the residents who have gathered here today.
Absolutely. This is nothing short of a full-blown humanitarian crisis. It's actually day 6 that they haven't had water. And the sad thing is that we had this crisis 2 months ago. And it actually started in 2019 where there was a 9-day outage. And ever since then, every few months, there's been a lengthy water outage. And it disturbed me that in the city's draft RDP budget, neither the South Hills Water Tower nor the Forestry Water Tower was allocated any budget from the city's capital budget.
Now, let me come to you, ma'am. As a councillor, you are the one that's probably been attending meetings with regards to coming up with solutions to this crisis. The last meeting you had, what was the outcome?
We had a meeting on Thursday with Joburg Water. Joburg Water told us it's Rand Water. We went back to Rand Water. Rand Water says that it was Joburg Water. And they're just lying to us all the time. And this is day 6. We have elderly people in our wards. Our schools had to close down. Our clinics had to close down because there is no water. And as you can see, we have a whole lot of disgruntled residents here. They do not have water, and yet, if you go to some of our streets, there's major water leaks that they do not even fix. So there's definitely a big problem with the water issues.
So last week, when you had an issue with electricity, City Power came on board, and that's when we saw residents stepping out and saying we're not going to let them go until they fix the situation. Was it the case with Joburg Water or Rand Water?
Exactly. City Power came, they only fixed half of the issues. I still have residents, which is today, day 10, without electricity. And that is a big issue.
All right, so where to from now? Have you heard anything from Rand Water or Joburg Water with regards to making sure that you guys have water?
Yeah. They have contacted my colleague, Councillor Michael Crichton, last night, and they want us to have a virtual meeting this afternoon. They never gave us any time, but we don't know what's going to come out of that meeting.
So I spoke to one of the residents earlier who said you were promised that by this morning, when you open your taps, water will be running.
On Thursday, they promised us when we open our taps Friday morning, there will be water. That was a lie. Yesterday, they promised us that today there will be water. That was again another lie.
Thank you very much for your time, ma'am. Ndogozo, it's quite clear that, this is a problem, or rather an issue that has been going on for some time in the area that is in the south of Johannesburg. And they're saying Rand Water has been sending them back and forth. When they make their way to the Rand Water officers, they will be sent to Joburg Water. When they get to Joburg Water, they will be then sent back to Rand Water. And seemingly there is no solution to this problem. She also mentioned that this afternoon there will be a meeting, and they are hoping that at least a concrete solution will be presented.
All right, Zola, that's, of course, a story that we'll continue to monitor out in Linmeyer.